Basically, your theory is that the budget is locked in now by decisions that were made by dead men or zombies.
That's correct. The zombies are essentially that so much is built into the budget now in the terms of mandatory spending, interest costs on the debt that are going to be rising, other factors like that, that there's almost no freedom for members of Congress to do anything new without either cutting back on something else they've promised or increasing the deficit. And I developed this thing that I've called a fiscal democracy index. It's what share of revenues are left after you account for things that Congress has to do already because of mandatory spending and interest on the debt, has to do barring new legislation. And it's basically got down to zero, that all our revenues are committed. And it gets worse. All future revenues, which also grow in the future, as we talked a minute ago, all future revenues are also committed by this growth in mandatory spending and interest on the debt. And
Yeah.
it explains a great deal. It explains why Congress is in such tied into such a knot. And you have basically they're tied themselves in a fiscal straitjacket and they can't get out of it without reneging on promises they've made to the public.
Yeah, so I think in this year, I think in the fiscal year that just ended, 2024, ended back in September, if I'm not mistaken, mandatory spending, the stuff on autopilot, consumed all revenues. So you could have eliminated all of the discretionary budget and still had a small deficit.
That's
And
right.
I,
It's
yeah,
pretty close. It's pretty much borderline. Now, mind you, we're running huge deficits. So mandatory spending and interest are about three quarters
right.
total spending. But since about a quarter of spending is covered by deficits, that's how you get to the fact that all the revenues have already been absorbed.